hasn't happened to you before in your life, but I'm going to tell you who you are for the benefit of people watching. You are Andrew Upton, right?
Yes.
And you write plays and screenplays.
Yes.
You're an Australian.
Yep.
So what's an Australian like you working on, to correct me if I'm wrong, Cyrano de Bergerac, the well-known French play from some time ago?
I worked on Cyrano.
You worked on Cyrano. You've done it.
I've done it. It's been and gone.
What have you done? What did you do with him?
I translated it with the director.
Who's the director?
Marion Potts.
Marion Potts. She's an Aussie.
She's an Australian. It was on at the Sydney Theatre Company a while ago. And, yeah, I translated it with her, and then I adapted it for a smaller cast and changed a few little things, and, you know.
Yeah. You didn't change the main character. You're still a guy with a big nose.
Still a guy with a big nose. No, we kept all that. We're very... It's kind of quite a... What we're working on at the moment together is Don Juan.
Oh, right.
Which is a lot more flexible as a play. Kind of a lot stronger, a lot simpler. It's not in verse, which is nice. Cyrano was all in verse, which was really quite a task.
Yeah. You did it in verse then, your translation?
We did the first... We sort of came up with a kind of conceit that saw the verse shifting and becoming freer.
Oh, right.
As he became more expressive and
more eloquent,
passionate.
Yeah. Because Don Juan gets the girls, which is easier, whereas Cyrano didn't really get the girls.
Cyrano never got the girl. He only had one in mind, too.
What was in it? Roxanne, wasn't
Roxanne.
it? Roxanne.
Yeah. No, he never got her.
Yeah.
Poor fellow.
I love the play. A lot of people think that because it's about a 17th century swordsman poet with a big nose that was written in the 17th century, but it's a modern play, actually.
Absolutely. It was, I think it was 1901.
Yeah.
Or 1890.
1897.
1897.
I know why, because it's actually on the front of Edmond Rostand. Rostand? Rostand? Rostand. I've always called him Rostand.
Rostand, that'll do.
Good Aussie playwright, Edmond Rostand.
Yeah.
He made so much money out of that play, he built himself a big house down in the Basque Country near the Spanish border. And there's a plaque on it that says that Cyrano was, I think, 1897.
1897.
Which is quite recent when you think about it.
Incredibly recent. Yeah. And so unlike the sort of major thrust of drama that was happening in Europe at the time. You've got Ibsen, Chekhov, you know, that whole thrust towards naturalism, and then this sort of great
there's one
poetic
play which was actually entertaining. Yeah.
Huge. Oh, I love Chekhov and Ibsen.
I love Chekhov too. But I don't sit there and thrill the way I do when Cyrano's talking under Roxanne's window.
No, that is
actually it's thrilling. It's a thrilling play.
It's a series of great set pieces,
and
they're incredible play.
Yeah, it's people have, ever since the thing came out, they've striven to get it into English and get it onto movies, and actually the movies, they're not too bad. You ever see the old Jose Ferrer one?
No.
It was directed by Stanley Kramer in 1950. It's actually as stiff as a board. But Jose Ferrer got the Oscar for it.
Oh.
Best nose of the year. He did the actual big conch, you know, and of course when Steve Martin did the Roxanne movie, he did the sort of
the
nose, the nose you couldn't really have. No, it's like that. Actually, I thought what made Roxanne, I love Roxanne because who was the girl? Daryl Hannah?
Was it Daryl Hannah?
Daryl Hannah, yeah, I think so.
God.
Yes, yes, extremely desirable, and I understand exactly how Cyrano the fireman felt. But what made it incredible was that it's in modern America. No one would have a nose like that because you'd have plastic surgery.
Well, that's right.
Yeah. It's a pre-plastic surgery play.
It is.
Right?
It is.
Cyrano is stuck with that disfigurement.
Light.
And it's meant to be a disfigurement. I mean, it's quite clear.
Oh, yeah. It's. I mean, it's in Roxanne too in the film. The whole sequence of really great scene where he insults himself in front of everyone.
Yes.
Because he gets a few lame insults from a fairly inadequate sort of viscount, and he starts insulting himself to upstage the guy. And it's just the amount of sort of self-hatred and vitriol, but very funny.
Yeah.
Hilarious. It's great.
It's
character.
I think it's a basically true psychological situation because in a way none of us has got, except maybe say Tom Cruise or that other guy. We haven't really got the exterior to match our soul.
No, that's right.
And
we haven't.
Cyrano's an extreme case of that. He has this wonderful romantic nature. He's a genuine lover.
Yeah. And one love.
Yeah, one love. Yeah.
Really one true, straight up love.
And he loves her so much, he's ready to help this good-looking schmuck. Christian?
Christian.
Christian? What did you call him in your play? Christian?
Christian.
Christian, yeah. He's ready to help this schmuck to get her.
I know, and he is such a schmuck. But he's got his own nobility in the end. At the end of Act 4, where he sort of swings round and says, "Look, you've got to." He's dying. He says, "Look, you've got to tell her and
tell her that it was you who said my words."
Yeah.
Just for the benefit of anyone who doesn't know the plot, there may be someone out there who doesn't. Christian wants to make love to Roxanne and be a lover, but he hasn't got the words to woo her. Cyrano's got the words,
but he hasn't got the looks.
But he hasn't got the looks.
No.
So Cyrano makes a sort of devil's bargain and actually pretends to be this guy, which is a bit hard to take, actually. How did you do it in the play? Did he stand beneath the window and alter his voice?
They did the whole balcony thing, and he sort of altered his voice a bit, and it's a dramatic conceit.
Yeah.
It works. It actually does work. I think when something like that happens, where an audience is asked to make such a leap of faith, if they make it, you get them hook, line and sinker. And that sort of conceit, that's sort of part of its power, is that it's so obscure and so unlikely. But then the audience go with it, and then they really invest in the story.
Yeah, Rostand actually went for the... he did the research and found out about the actual...
Yeah, there was a Cyrano.
There was Cyrano. Guy with the big nose.
Guy with the big nose.
He was a writer. He wrote a marvellous book which nobody has ever read.
The Journey to the Moon. I've read a bit of it.
It was actually called A History of the Estates and the Empires on the Moon. And there was a sequel. A History of the Estates and the Empires on the Sun.
He was quite a kook.
Yeah, he was quite a kook. And he actually fought with the sword and all that.
Yes, he was a big swordsman, but
he never got the girl.
He was gay.
He was gay? You're kidding. Okay, that's wonderful news. An element that Rostand necessarily left out at the time.
Well, I think he had to.
Did you put any of that into the play?
No. It doesn't really fit.
Doesn't fit the
plot.
plot.
Sort of blurs the plot a bit. Can't really blur that plot too much.
How did you know that? You did a lot of research.
Oh, I did a fair bit of research. Marion did a lot of research. And it was just one of those facts that you find out and you think, oh, that'd be right.
Yeah. Because...
whether it's
it's the last thing that would occur to me when I read the play, because it's looking into my soul, which may or may not be gay. I wouldn't know. I mean, frankly, we all are, really.
Well, of course.
But I identify with it completely because we none of us want to go into our own romantic histories. But it's always been my impression that if you're ever going to have success with women, talking is extremely important for those of us who are not the Tom Cruises of this world. The key thing. You ever hear this theory that men fall in love through the eyes and women fall in love through the ears? Do you go with that?
I do. I think it's true. Thank God, I say. Yeah. As I agree. I think a lot of people identify with Cyrano because he is blighted.
Yeah.
And everyone feels blighted.
Everyone feels blighted.
And they feel that internally they have something great that they want to give to the world or give to another person.
The strange thing is that a lot of beautiful women feel blighted. Have you ever noticed?
Absolutely.
They're always the prisoner of that early image.
Yeah.
And quite often, especially the strapping girls were gawky, or they were fat, and that's with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if even Tom Cruise feels blighted.
Yeah, especially in the altitude department. He's quite tiny, even as actors go.
You can do amazing things with camera angles.
Yes, and a box. You know that old story of Alan Ladd, is that when he was #1 box office star in the world for 10 years, and the first year he made it, that was the end of the box. From then on, they had to dig a trench for the leading lady. Right?
Oh, dear.
So instead of standing on the box, they put her in a hole. That's power.
That's power. That's movies.
Yeah, but there is a separation between the soul and the body in everybody. I'm sure of that. And Rostand's great coup was to personify it.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a...
But when you're in the audience, do you notice the way you yourself, as the play goes on, forget Cyrano's deformity completely, as his eloquence becomes the major power of...
Well, it does. You end up really falling for him, which is a great thing. I hadn't noticed that, but you do actually. You're
Well, you
right.
see, well, Depardieu in the French version, there is a French version.
Yeah, I've
from
seen
it.
that. Fantastic.
And Depardieu makes a great play with that. And in fact, Depardieu, I don't think he did much to the nose he's got already.
Why would you?
Well, he built it up a bit, didn't he?
I'm sure he did.
But really,
I think he's bulbed it out a bit.
really he's saying, I am Gerard, as he would say in the French language.
Mm.
And his magnetism is unmistakable, to the extent that it actually destroys the plot, I think. He's wonderfully more appealing than Christian.
Oh, I see, yeah. Oh, you see, I still buy into it. It's the dilemma that I think is so fundamental that I buy into it working.
Also, there's a
working.
tremendous truth in it's quite possible to imagine the woman falling in love with the voice and the words and transferring her attention to the man who's responsible. But women do. God bless them.
That's right. That's what we want.
Yes. They don't care about the way they look. They care if you're clean. you've got to clean your fingernails. Something I didn't find out till I was about 29, actually.
No, you do have to be clean.
Yeah.
You have to be clean and well spoken. Make them laugh.
Yes.
That's the one.
Absolutely. Yeah,
And he makes them laugh.
Tom Stoppard, I once heard him say that the ability to tell a joke and make a woman laugh is the inland equivalent of being muscular on the beach. Yeah. You know, the guy who could do handstands on the beach?
Yeah.
It's the inshore version of
It is.
and I think there's something to it.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, that's in that
Oh,
plot.
the old gene pool is operating, isn't it? The woman is being attracted towards intelligence, power, and all that stuff we've got. Yeah.
Yeah, if you can smooth talk.
If you can convince her of that.
That's right.
Somebody once said, when all else fails, try sincerity. But it's a great play. How did your version do? It ran in Sydney, right?
It ran in Sydney, did very well, which is good. Did very well with the audiences. They enjoyed it.
Plans to bring it here to...
Oh, no.
No? Well, what do you mean, oh no?
Well, there's
Why shouldn't Britain, this poor deprived nation, have the benefits of powerful of Australia? Why
I don't
not?
know how they'd feel about a bit of Australian translation.
Why not?
Well, was it Anthony Burgess? Did a kind of fairly enshrined translation in the British canon.
Yeah, I think it's been on stage much there.
Well, I don't
But
know
Burgess
how
was
much...
very able. Burgess knew a lot of languages, for example.
Get out of
But
town. He was great.
He was. I knew him, and he was just absolutely stunning with languages. But it doesn't necessarily. Translation's not just about that.
No.
The result,
I mean, look, it's a great translation.
Yeah.
You can't deny it. And it was...
So why did you do it? You wanted an Australian idiom, or what?
Well, we did find a fairly Australian idiom to it, and we actually did want to break away from the... It kind of gets hamstrung by the verse.
Yeah.
And it gets quite hamstrung by the... There's a lot, sort of corny side to a lot of the secondary characters, which we wanted to flesh out more. We sort of had quite a deliberate...
So how does Cyrano
take on
talk in your version? He's an eloquent Aussie, is he?
No. He's eloquent. When I say there was an Australian thing, there were a lot of the jokes were quite Australian in their phrasing or in their...
Give us an example. You still got it in your head? Oh, you wrote it.
Let me see.
Be Cyrano for a minute. I'll be Roxanne.
I can't do that. I see one line that sticks in my mind was when Christian decides in Act 3, I think it is, at the beginning of Act 3, before the balcony scene actually, that he's going to be honest and he's going to talk to her himself. And Cyrano says, "Look, this is a disastrous idea.
Bad idea.
Anyway, it's up to you." And he leaves him, and he starts to talk to her, and she's saying, "Talk to me like you were talking to me last night." And he goes, "Oh," and he stumbles through some fairly inane, "I love you a lot. I love you heaps," that sort of stuff.
I love you a great deal.
She's at that point in her life, she's very sort of interested in the conceit and the courtly sort of thing. Because it is, like I say before, the big balcony scene where he really gives it to her.
Cyrano comes in and does the business. Yeah?
Lays it on thick and fast. But as she's backing away, she says, "Yes, I know you love me." And he says, "Yes, I really love you." And she says, "Good-o." And it's like that sort of thing. We're using a word like good-o, which is kind of not...
Yeah.
It's just quite... It sort of rings in an Australian ear, but it's not that Australian.
I think the London audience would eat that up.
Well,
Although half the London audience,
I don't agree.
half the London audience are Norwegians in backpacks.
Well, that's right.
Busloads of Japanese tourists
Well,
who mightn't understand it because their English is too good. But I think the British audiences are very responsive to the Australian idiom.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Oh,
Well, they've been educated over the years by people like Humphreys and Jermaine
Yeah.
Greer and so on.
Yeah. Oh, look, I mean, I'd do it. I love the play, and it was a very sort of tight translation. It was kind of got down, the cast got down, and the story got sort of leaner. Yeah, it was good. I'm not highly convinced that the British should go for it.
Well, anyway, now you're working on Don
Juan.
or Don Juan, as Byron called him, or Don Giovanni, as Mozart called him.
Yeah,
A perennial character. This guy does get the girls.
Oh, boy.
But the point about Don Giovanni is that he must not appear to be a bad man, a louse to the women, because
No.
they're convinced.
Yeah, well, in the Molière, his first, the first act, he's just leaving a woman called Donna Elvira, who he seduced from a convent, from the hands of God. So he must have the talk. He does have the talk. He's very, very smooth. I'm finding a lot of sort of snaky references to him, and
I think that's probably what Casanova did in his role as technical advisor to Mozart and Da Ponte. Because when they called him in, they obviously wanted... Casanova had this tremendous reputation already. He was a famous seducer. I often wondered how the news got around.
Exactly.
I mean, there was no internet.
No, but how you could seduce once the news had got around?
Yeah, well, actually, they put him in jail, but never for that. They put him in jail for fraud and so on. He was never arrested for serial molestation of women, many of them under the age of 11. But they obviously called him in to get a few tips, and that was the tip he gave him, is this guy must be a terrifically convincing talker, which Casanova was.
Right.
So the Don, in many ways, is a bit like Cyrano, who doesn't get the girls, but the talk is what...
The talk gets them. And the Don Moliere's Don is quite philosophical. He really is on a journey to invalidate God. He's quite nihilistic. It's deliberate. He's seducing Donna Elvira from the convent. He then uses as an excuse when he's leaving her that, oh, actually, look, I can't be with you anymore because I feel like God had you first, and so he should have you back. You know, he's like, and whenever Sganarelle, which is the Leporello character, he's
Leporello's the boy assistant, isn't he? He keeps the score.
Yeah, the Harlequino,
He keeps the record book to keep up to date with the Don's conquest.
He's Dr. Watson.
Yeah. I hadn't thought of that. That's absolutely right. Sherlock and Dr. Watson.
That's right, on the quest.
Leporello.
Yeah, well, his Leporello is called Sganarelle, and he's always asking, how can you do this? How can you not believe in God? And he's constantly saying, there's nothing there to prove that he's there, and life's pleasure, and life is in the moment, and beauty is my God, and all these. So he's kind of driven. He's not just on the hunt.
The brains aspect is actually what is one of the things that gets the women, and that's probably why the silent movie didn't work. John Barrymore was Don Juan. A wonderful profile, but nothing to say. So it wasn't quite convincing. And your play sounds like a thriller, actually. What happens at the end in your play?
Well, it's following the Molière fairly closely until the end, where we're going to...
Chicken out?
No. There's no point in sending... Well, no, he'll die.
Yeah.
But he will die the death he imagined he would die, which is just nothing. But it's Sganarelle who kind of ends up in hell. Really.
Casanova just got old and the magic didn't work anymore.
No, well, that's terrible. Yeah. That's hell.
Well, Arthur Schnitzler wrote a marvellous story about it snappily called Casanova's Heimfahrt. Casanova's journey home. And Casanova is on his way home at about the age of 70 with one tooth left in his head. And he's got his second-hand wig on his head.
And then his syphilitic scabs.
On the way, yeah, plenty of that. He meets an old friend. An old friend says, I'm doing quite well now. I've got a farmhouse just up the road. And I've got this very, very beautiful 16-year-old girl staying with us. And Casanova decides not to go home at all. Yeah? and he has one last try. It's a good story.
Yeah, how does it go?
Well, he makes it because he pretends to be the girl's young lover at bedtime. Actually, the girl must have been fairly easily fooled.
She must have
She
been
wasn't
an idiot.
wasn't a tooth counter.
No. Oh, well.
But the idea is that he can't give up on the dream.
Oh.
And,
Sounds great.
But Casanova did. Casanova ended up as a librarian writing his memoirs, and the old magic was gone. And maybe that's the punishment, is the magic doesn't work anymore.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So the play. You're preparing this play, or is it already?
I'm in the middle of Act 2, 5-act play, obviously from the olden days.
At the risk of sounding extremely boastful, and I know you'll step in to help stop me if I'm not. But the Australians have got a handle on the English language, and in some ways it's a throwback. It's when I was growing up, I'd already noticed that Australians, men especially, when they were gathered around the campfire or whatever it was, or cooking a flathead they caught on the beach, had a sort of free eloquence which was sometimes scatological. In fact, let's face it, downright filthy.
It was. It is.
But free-flowing and full of images. And in many ways ideal for drama. There's not buttoned up like English. Yeah.
Great storytellers.
Well, Andrew, it's been fascinating talk to you. I want you to keep me up to date with what's obviously a campaign to transform the entire heritage of European drama into the Australian.
That's right. It's not a bad idea, actually.
And until soon.
Well, yes. Now what happens?
We have a drink.
Ah!